Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, happily, the guests, 24, I beg your pardon, not guests, 24 abducted schoolgirls in Kebbi have regained their freedom. The president has, been thrilled and has indeed sent to them, commending, when I say sent to them, that is those who were in charge of the rescue, commending them on their efforts, while saying that the job was not over yet, because, as you know, there's quite a number of others, and we want all our girls, was the message of the president. You recall that the president had also, the bandits had also stormed, they'd stormed what? Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku Ekiti, local government area of Kwara State, abducting 38 worshippers during a night vigil. And yet another gang raided St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, Aguara local government area of Niger State, seizing over 300 pupils and teachers. And the president has said that all of those people must be returned, and he's counting on them. He's dispatched the Minister of Defense. Remember, the president ordered the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, to relocate to Kebbi, which is going to be our focus today, where 24 schoolgirls have regained their freedom. Details are sketchy, actually, but at least just taking the bottom line, the girls are now back with us. We'll be finding out what the details are, but at least we've seen the girls. And our guest is Usman Mohammed Anache. He's the national chairman, Grassroots Advocacy for Peace and Good Governance. If you can hear me, Mr. Anache, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for coming on. Well, as the president has have the news that 24 abducted Kebbi schoolgirls have regained their freedom. We don't know very much more than that. Are you in a position to fill in any details?
Actually, you see, the details that I can give at this time is that we are monitoring the situation since the abduction.
Okay.
Actually, all the details that we have and all what has transpired is very, very important. The most important is the concern shown by our leaders. I think this is one of the memorable days that will go in the history of Kebbi State and Nigeria. And all the effort and all the scenario is that we have to be grateful to Almighty Allah.
That's right.
And we have to be grateful to President Aswaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu for showing more concern that, yes, every Nigerian life is important to him, despite the regard that we are from the grassroots. We have to be grateful to the governor of Kebbi State, who, despite all his official engagement, on the day that the abduction occurred on 17th of this month, he left all what he's doing from Abuja and fly directly to Maga village, where he landed in Zuru and drove to Maga immediately. He was there throughout the night. So we have to thank our leaders that shows more concern that their people are more important to them than anything. So this shows that we now have leaders. Actually, we have leaders now. So the scenario behind it and what transpired is actually that of the security issues. But I tell you, these girls has been released and all of them are in good condition. I met with the governor yesterday and inshallah today they may be handed over to the Kebbi State government. So they are with the Minister of Defense, the Alhaji Bello Mutawalli, and you have seen since the abduction, the concern shown by our leaders, the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Kebbi, with his entourage, the Inspector General of Police is also in Kebbi, with his entourage. The Nigerian Labour Congress President, Comrade Joe Ajeru, was also in Kebbi with his entourage, and every concern, the chief of defense staff, chief of army staff, immediately after the abduction landed in Maga village. So you see, the president ordered the minister again to be in Kebbi throughout this scenario. You see, there is nothing we can say, only that we can say thank you to all of them. And the prayers that the ulama continue, the prayers, the malams, everybody was so concerned. We are very happy for this. And alhamdulillah, the combined effort has yielded a result. And this government has become a historic government that shows that Nigerian, whether in Nigeria or abroad, is much of their concern. So we must be very grateful, thankful to Mr. President, Governor of Kebbi State, and all those who contributed to this success. And we pray for the release of the others in other captivities.
Exactly. You used the word that the girls have been released. Other people are using the term, the expression, the girls have been rescued. I think people are now using, the important thing is that they have their freedom. So, but some state that it is a release, some state that it is a rescue. I don't know. Well, yet, government was quite cryptic. Apart from the happy news that Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the president on information and strategy, he, according to the information he released, he confirmed that indeed the girls were now home. Would you like to go into that area? Is it possible to even go into that area of whether they were rescued or they were released?
The girl has been rescued.
Oh, they were rescued?
Yes, they were rescued by our security forces.
Okay, which is different from they were released.
Yes, it's actually rescue.
Okay, it was actually a rescue. Our men in uniform actually went in there and did the necessary and took our girls without no need for their permission or anything. We took our girls back. Is that what you're saying?
Girls are actually rescued. Why I'm using the releasing is, when somebody regains freedom. So whatever the terms you use, but it is actually rescued. Because you see, let me tell you what happens.
Okay.
Actually, what happens is that, you see, whenever there is abduction, so there are so many strategies that are being used by the security forces. Some are open, some are closed. So you see, the security forces have so many tactics because it's their field. They know what to do. So when they are doing their job, they have done their job very well. But the first priority is to rescue the abducted alive. That is the first option of every security forces in the world. So this is what they have used, and eventually the option A works. If option A didn't work, they have the option B. Ask him what really transpired. They know that this is the first time they have abducted some schoolgirls, and they received a uncounted, unmeasurable pressure from all angles that they have no way to escape, rather than to succumb to the security forces. Our security forces condoned the whole area. They mapped the whole area.
And cordoned it off.
There is no way they can escape.
Okay.
So this is the situation. So from that area, when the other party discovered that he is at the receiving end, then the security forces can go for negotiation. So all those tactics were being used, and these girls were actually rescued using our own combined security forces of military, police, DSS, and all other security forces, and with all this support and the encouragement from the president and the governor of Kebbi State. This is what really happened.
Excellent.
Actually, rescue.
Excellent. So kudos to our, all the military and all the men in uniform that coordinated to effect this rescue, as you have put it. So, no, the matter, ransom didn't come into this conversation at all.
No. Actually, all the information we gathered, we have so many sources of information, not only from the security forces. We used to do our due diligence separately, and we used to do our observation, and we used to set our own minds. So actually, throughout the operation, there is no any issue of ransom payment.
Oh, that's very good. I mean, that's excellent. That's excellent. And once more, kudos to our men who are working day and night to just return normalcy to the situation. Any news on the identity of these people who, perform this dastardly act of abducting these girls? I mean, have they well, do we know who they are? Because they're quite a number, beyond criminal gangs. We're just talking about people, kidnapping or abducting these schoolgirls. Any clue as to their identity at all?
Well, those areas we cannot be having the information of the identity of those criminals. But actually, I'm sure that the security agencies have some information which they have gathered, which they have to use it for their own operations. And what I actually know is that since there is this first, I think, compensation and condoning of the area and making them that no escape route
Okay.
and the mountain pressure on them, the source information, even if there is any, will not be given to us. It will be for the security purpose to use for their own intelligence purposes, maybe to look at the scenario and study the area. What we usually do is we usually study what happens. We usually study it from the beginning up to the end so that we can give on our own opinion. But even we as NGOs, so many times some information that we have are not for public consumption. So
Okay.
those for public consumption we give it to the public.
Okay.
Those for the specific people, maybe the government, maybe the security agencies, we will give it to them only. So even if they have their information, it's for their own consumption only. But I'm sure they have some, which I know, doing the due diligence based on their own operation model.
As our girls were actually rescued, and therefore, whether the abductors wanted it or not, our girls are now released. Do you have any information as to whether any arrests were made?
Actually, up to now, we don't have any information whether arrest is made. Even the information from the area where the operation took place is very sketchy. So all those things will be at the issue of the security forces, which is they may not release to public. Whether arrest was made, maybe part of in any or sides which arrest negligence. Initially we are observing of the negligence from the part of the security forces stationed at the school. So all those things, those areas for the national security issue, which I'm sure the national security advisor is already on top of it, as is the major player also in this operation from the beginning up to the end. The major player. So his office, his people are there. So I know, we have so many things that are for national security issues.
Okay.
So many things will be useful to them
in the investigation.
The occurrence of such things in future, and study this one and get the perpetrators. So all those ones are their own. Even if the military, for example, were having some people within their own midst that are having problem, they are not allowed to go to the normal court that me and you can go. So they have to. The Constitution give them the right to do their court martial and court martial their men and also treat them as such. So those informations, they are for their intelligence. Maybe if there is, by the time they are willing or at the appropriate time they feel they can give it to the public, fine. That is the only the time we can get such information. But most of those things are for security reasons.
Okay.
They shouldn't be as such.
Now, in the case of Kebbi, in the case of this Kebbi that we are, quietly and soberly celebrating with gratitude, because there still are many other girls and many other people in different parts of the country still with their abductors. The girls of Government Girls Secondary School, MAGA, in Danko, Wasagu, local government area. I hope I'm not murdering that too much. That school, what's the information you have? Because there's been some conversation in the public space following somebody, some official, I think, ordering the closure of schools, and some other officials, saying that this was not, there was no authority for that kind of a thing, and that might not even be government's policy. But this haven't happened at Government Girls Secondary School in Maga. Is the school going to be open now, or are there going to be measures taken to make sure that this state that we have of freedom for the girls and a return to normalcy, at least that's a process, will indeed be given a chance? That whole matter about closing of the schools, can you tell us anything about that whole area, please?
Yes, when things like this happen, the government has to take emergency measures. We have emergency measures that will be taken quickly. So closing the schools is an emergency measure that the government took, both the federal government and the state government. School is an area where so many people will gather, especially in boarding schools. So if the government can close the schools, then these criminals cannot have another chance of abducting another set of students within any of those schools. So this is a temporary measure before the secured environment will be provided by the government so that the schools can resume at the appropriate time, based on the assessment of the security situation even in that Maga area, the course of Guzuru. Before the coming of this administration, that Kebbi, southern part of Kebbi, is the volatile area, it's a no-go area. We have so many IDP camps, we have so many bandits operating within those areas, especially infiltrating from Niger and Zamfara states. They are disturbing the whole area. So our people in that area cannot even go to farm. So most of the activities there will be crippled. It is after the coming of this government, and the governor visited the area and they insist that so many measures has been taken. So within these 2 years, the president of the Federal Republic and the governor of Kebbi State were able to clear the area, and all those farms that are not accessible are now accessible, and all the villages within that area that are being in the IDP camps return to their villages. So now we don't have any IDP camps within the area. So after clearing the area, we usually have infiltration from Zamfara and the Niger state. Sometimes the bandits are not even moving to attack Kebbi State. They are moving from Zamfara State to attack Niger State. But the army stationed there by the governor will intercept them. So in so many occasions, they were being killed. There was time that about 150 of them killed, but they are not moving to attack Kebbi State. They are moving from Zamfara State to attack Niger State, but the Kebbi State security forces intercept them within the Kebbi South area. So the area is already volatile area. So, but now it is relatively calm, and everybody was back to his own village. And all of the assessment, I was in Zuru on several occasions assessing the area. And when you are moving from Koko up to Zuru, there was not any problem, unlike before the coming of this administration. So the area is relatively calm. So these people always use what we call soft targets. So the areas that
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, but a viewer has been holding on for a while. I didn't really want to interrupt you on the important information you were giving us, but Mr. George is on the line. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yari.
Thank you for calling in.
Uncle Yari, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
We can hear you clearly. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, see if you can call back, Mr. George. When you were inquiring as to whether or not we could hear you, I was, responding in the affirmative that we can hear you very clearly. Nevertheless, the line dropped. So do please see if you can call back in again. Okay. So Okay, I understand that Mr. George is back. Okay, go ahead now, Mr. George. We can hear you clearly.
Okay. Uncle Yuri, I'm very happy to hear this sharing news, and I'm seeing the girls in the video you are showing. It's very gladdening. All the evil machinations by evil doers in our country who are pretending to be politicians in order to bring down the president are all ending up elevating him. Inviting a foreign power to invade our country ended up with securing that country's support in our efforts to curb insecurity. Planning a coup d'etat that didn't work has ended up making the military to work harder and instigating kidnappers to kidnap schoolgirls, school children from their schools has made the president to show his capacity to address it, and in the process, it has earned him popularity rating. Uncle Yodi, whether ransom or no ransom is not the issue here. The children have been retrieved. Even if a ransom was paid, it will help to make the process of eliminating these people. For example, it gave the military people where and how to trace these guys. So after retrieving the children from them, you go back to them and cordon the area, run them up, and smoke them out. There is need to make sure that people who are engaged in this bad business know that it is dangerous. By seeing that some people have been caught and dealt with, then they will learn lessons. If we do not do that, more people will continue to go into this nasty and very deadly business. I commend Mr. President and all the security forces involved in this. We are very grateful to them. They should continue, but help us to smoke these bad people. We don't need them in our country. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. George, calling in there. I'm sure you're expressing the feeling of most Nigerians, if not all Nigerians, that we got our girls back. It's a very volatile area, that whole area. Remember that our girls, the Chibok girls, I don't think we got 100% of them back. And, so this is really reason to celebrate with decorum that all, as Mr. George just said, all the security personnel combining together to bring back these girls, it's quite heartwarming. Of course, the next thing, Mr. Anache, is we want to be sure this won't happen again. You were talking about soft targets. Yes, these cowardly people, because I don't know what other word to use, these cowardly people, you go to schoolgirls, you're trying to make a statement. It's a very, very soft target. What do you expect schoolgirls to be able to do? Principals, vice principals, what can they do in those circumstances? Housemasters, house mistresses, those are the people there. I mean, it's just that they're not people of honor anyhow, because even in war, you don't mess with women, you don't mess with children. But even though this is not quite war, you can see that there is no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. How optimistic are you that this will not repeat itself again? Because we are aware that our men are pretty thin on the ground, because we know, we've been talking about this for a long time, that we don't have all the men in uniform that we would like to have, if only there were no constrictions.
Yes, you see, what the people should do in front of the firearms is only to surrender when you don't have firearms. Don't confront somebody who has firearms in his hand, especially the criminals. So, you see, that is why we are saying that the government should close the schools so that the assessments will be conducted, so the security will do their due diligence, and they give advice to the government on when the school is supposed to be open. Okay. So when the area is being secured, and I'm sure the security forces will not leave these criminals alone. They are doing their work, even though their work, has to be in some certain, some sort of secrecy. So they will do the job and they will do their work. And we have seen the result of most of their operations, and you can see now that they were able to rescue these children safely. But you see, the issue is this. The assessment that needs to be made will be a wider situation. In Kebbi here, we don't have much security breaches problems. But the problem of having so many borders, internal and external, we have two international borders, with Benin Republic and Niger Republic. And that of Niger Republic is a soft target also, because it's not a volatile border. That with Benin also is a soft target. So we have to stand up and look at any suspicious something. So that is why at the grassroots, we always mobilize our people and inform them that anything, no matter how little they don't understand, they should report it to the nearest security agencies. And where they could not reach the security agencies, they should report to their village head, who will transfer it to the district head, to the emir, and then the government will be informed immediately. So the drastic action will be taken and the issue will be investigated. If the case is nothing to take home about, fine. If the case is a breach, fine. That is why when you look at this scenario of these three situations, that of kidnappings of Kebbi, kidnappings of Niger State in Papiri, and that of Kwara. So we at the grassroots, when we analyze that, we will see some similarities and dissimilarities between the two. I'm happy when the last caller was called, it was that insinuation that some of us here gave the foreign power that make the issues to be that of to what has escalated maybe these scenarios. You see, when this issue of President Trump has come up, so some people were using it to tarnish the image of this government and to justify what the Trump is saying. For example, in Kebbi here, our own problem at Maga is that there is compromise, some of suspected compromise from the side of the security forces. There was those who were stationed in that school. But when you look at that Papiri in Niger State, you will definitely raise so many questions than the answers. Because when you look at it in the initial stage of the kidnapping, in Kebbi, the number of children were 24 that were kidnapped. But in Papiri, they said it's 211 at the initial stage.
Okay.
But after reaching the bandits, they were saying it is the people are up to 300.
300.
So what you will ask yourself now, is it the people joining the bandits, or are they part of the people that were kidnapped initially but not counted?
Yeah.
Later on, some people comes back again from the kidnappers' den back to their homes without notifying the authorities. Okay, how did it come back? Maybe is it a conspiracy against the government to justify what Mr. Trump is saying?
Okay.
Is it planned that some people are not part of the planning and they decided to come back home so that they go back to their parents? They say about 50 people.
We're going to talk about this a bit more, but a person who has been waiting for quite a long time now is Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi, and thank you very much for holding on for that. It's a marathon holding on.
No, I guess. We give God Almighty thanks for those children coming back. Now, I want all of us local government Nigerians to listen very well. We should now sit down. Not every year, let us sit down. The state in particular, the local government particularly, see what they do. Find out how. Look out for those kids, because I saw them inside the bus, they were rejoicing to see their faces, which means they're very happy that God has helped them to come back. But the question now, I'm saying it, let us stop this issue of taking. Let us go to the causes, how much. Take the good ones, what I'm the good ones, look at this, give government a clue. Get the lack of roots they follow, it will help us. Whereby when the children are buried, Government take medical income after this, they give them back to their parents. Take the good one, that's what I did to add the donor one. Let them tell us exactly what happened.
Okay.
Environment that to help Nigerian to know more about all these things. Now the question is that we have to wake up that issue of
Okay, Mazi, thank you very much for calling in. Mazi Okorafor, beg your pardon for, rushing you a bit. We've got to nip off on a quick break. If indeed that is what you have just done, there's a lot of meat left on the bone. Our guest is Usman Mohammed Anache, who is the National Chairman, Grassroot Advocacy for Peace and Good Governance. Now, thank you very much for coming on the program. You were talking about a delicate area in there, and I want to refer to the St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, Agwara local government area of Niger State, where now the number that we seem to have settled on is 300. But as you said, initially it was 211. So people, people will talk. Unfortunately, social media, is also, part of the mix in this conversation. And I like how I heard Ruben Abati of a different television station talking about mob opinions. One has to be very careful about, taking on mob opinions. But it is an intriguing question that you sort of spoke a bit about. We now have 300. Before, it was supposed to be 211. That's on the one hand. Even with our girls from the secondary school, government girls secondary school in Maga, we were reading that in news reports that 2 of the girls actually escaped on their own. And so we begin to wonder, this thing, that's why I asked you initially, do we have any information as to the identity of it? And you said, well, that might be a closed affair for now, pending when all the professionals do their work. But what can you say about, one, the 2 of those girls reportedly escaping on their own? I'm talking about the, how many of them? 24. So if the arithmetic is right, 2 girls managed to escape on their own, and then the rescue affected, since you don't need to rescue somebody who has escaped, 22 other girls that were adopted, have now, I imagine that everybody's now, all of them are now in their home. And then the Papiri one, 300 from 211. What would be your guess as to what is going on here?
You see, my problem here is this. Of that of Maga, the girls that have been taken has been taken together, all of them. And none of them returned until when they were being rescued by the security forces. But that of Papiri, after they took the less number of 200 plus,
yes.
When they get to their own, then the number increased to 300. The number of teachers also increased from the abducted 11 initially to 28 at the captors den. Then the number again reduced by 50 again from the kidnappers back to the parents. So you see, the problem here is this. Initially, the abduction has some question marks on it. How many people were abducted? Those who drop on the road, they're supposed to reduce the number at the captives den, not to increase the number. You understand? So if they have abducted 211, and on the road there are some that escape, maybe using different tactics. The number is supposed to reduce from that 200, not to increase to 300. That is first of my problem. Another one of my area of problem is, again, after the 300 were with the adopters, how comes the 50 left the area? Why were they being allowed to go? Was there any negotiation between their parents and the bandits? Why the others remain there and the 50 come back home? Why those who are released or escaped after they have been captured were not reported to the authorities? And initially, the school was closed because of security reasons and some problems that is between the school and the authorities in Niger State. How comes the school that was closed by the authorities was open, a boarding school, and the student was occupied inside, if not for to justify another purpose? So this is my area of problem of that papil. So, but we are still studying the situation and the try to pray and urging the security to continue their effort so that we can get to the root of the matter, which we need to even interview even the student that comes back, the parent that received their student. To me, in my opinion, it is look like a plan that go there, pretend as if there was a kidnapping case. Let us justify the information. Let us deform the government, or let us justify the information of the foreigners. To me, that is what really transferred there.
Okay. One moment, sir. Let me bring in our guest who has been waiting. Again, I'm very reluctant to interrupt you when you're speaking because we need to get all the information that we can. So thank you very much on that. And that is by way of explaining to Dr. Durosimi my reason. So thank you very much for holding on, Dr. Durosimi, retired AIG. Please go ahead now.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. What
morning,
happened
sir.
last week, I can look at it as conspiracy.
Okay.
Conspiracy from the highest order, of the highest order. In the sense that how come in Niger, in Kwara, and in Kebbi, there are this sudden surge in all these hoodlums activities. I think the government has to be more careful, and especially Kebbi, one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria, they have to mind the border between Kebbi and Zamfara, the border between Kebbi and Niger, the border between Kebbi and Sokoto, and as well as the international border. We have to be very careful about it. This is an imported thing. It was not part of Kebbi people. Kebbi people are very peaceful, and they go about their business peacefully. And we just have to be sure that we don't allow that to repeat itself again. I want to congratulate the governor of Kebbi for doing it again, for making sure that the guests are back. Otherwise, bring back our guests again. As for Kwara, Niger, and I think the best the government has done is to, for now, close the school to ensure that they put the right security in place before they are opening again. They can even bring the school, some of these remote schools, to the city to ensure that these children are not being used as shield. I know the men of the underworld, afraid of America bombing, are trying to take as many as possible children so that they can use them as human shield. We must not allow this to happen. Let's close the schools in border area, except the ones in the city, so that they will not use this human being as ransom and as well as human shield against the bombing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Durosimi, for calling in. Alhaji Anashi, I understand that, but when there was that confusion, one other confusion here is that whoever ordered the closure of some schools was not to the liking of some other people, because we can't have, what do they call them, non-state actors, taking the initiative and directing how we react. So I think, I wouldn't be sure about this, but I think the whole idea of closing the school, why it would have angered some official people, is that, hang on here, who gave you that directive? Who said go out there and make that announcement? Because it does look to somebody on the outside that these bandits are in control. When they sneeze, Nigerians catch a cold, and there doesn't seem to be anything that can be done about it. Well, that's just the way people would think. And then the retired AIG who just spoke, he actually guessed that there's something of a conspiracy here. We spoke about that, and I see that you're nodding your head a bit. Explore that area a bit more, please. When the AIG retired, said that he suspects that there might be a conspiracy here.
Yes, I may agree with him in some certain areas. Because when you look at the three scenarios of Kebbi, of Niger, and the Kwara, in Kebbi, we suspect conspiracy from the side of the people saddled with the responsibility of protecting that school, who are given the mandate to stay there. So they are not supposed to leave the school when you look at the time they left the school around 3 a.m. or 3:30 a.m., and the abduction took place at 4 a.m. So we may see the lapses, or we can suspect the conspiracy, and we can suspect negligence of duty from the side of the security, because there was a report that some activities of the bandits were going on within the Niger state. And the Kebbi state governor immediately dispatched the military men to the area, and they've been giving them all the necessary equipment and the support they need. And they were being stationed into that area for 24-hour surveillance, not to move anywhere. But unfortunately, they moved out of the school just 30 minutes to the time that this bandit came in and abducted these children. And when this bandit come in, to be surprised, they go directly to Malam Makuku's house, who is the chief security and the vice principal of the school, and they just locate his house. How do they get to him? How do they know him? How do they know his house? How do they know that he is the one in charge of the security of the school? How do they know that he's the one informing the government and informing the security agencies of the possible threat? So this is very question that only the investigation will reveal. And that of Niger, I already So that is my suspicions of that of Niger State. And that of Kwara, I don't think the way the video was taken, the sketchy videos that are available even on social media and some television houses, you discover that the way it has been taken, as it looks like as if it is staged. It's stage played.
Stage managed.
The investigations, we only set our minds now, but only the investigation will reveal what truly happens. But whatever is the case, a security issue is for everybody. It's not only for security forces. So for our people to sit down and say that only the security forces have the responsibility of protecting the nation, no, we all have the responsibility. When you see something, you say something. You don't just keep quiet until when something happens, then you start protecting. Then for the closure of the school, that is what is the best the government can do, to protect the life and property of the people. And the government closed the school for the protection of that life, so that we should not have a much gathering of people within the same vicinity that these abductors can come and invoke their havoc in that area. So this is the best situation as a temporary measure. So when the security situation improves, then the schools can be reopened. And I agree with the last speaker, who says some of these schools that are in the remote area can be transferred to a city area. But yet, we're supposed to have some certain developmental projects and the schools in those areas, so that we reduce the urban rural migration, because most of our farms and the other needs in the cities were being cultivated and being produced in those villages. So if we said everybody should move to the city because of the school or whatever, it should not be. So the government is doing everything, and we're happy with the way they handle the issue. And don't forget, this security issue is a long-time issue. So actually, to stop it in a day is a very difficult situation. And to stop it, the authorities has to go back to the root of these particular problems. Because, for example, now, if you look at Zamfara situation, the schools were not operating for a long time. All those children were there abundant. Most of the people are in the AD camps. So I'm just urging the other governors to try and copy and borrow a leaf from the Kebbi state governor and do the needful to stand up and make sure that their states were being secured. That is even bring the question to me of this state security, state police, which I don't support. Because in Kebbi, we are using the normal security forces, the conventional security forces we have, and it is yielding a very positive result. But in areas like Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, that even produce their own security guards, it is not yielding result. And we don't want non-state actors to take arms. And when you bring this state police, then after the peaceable, after the defeat of the bandit, after the elimination of all this insurgency, how do you mop up the weapons again from them? How will you be sure that they will not use those weapons against personal use? So these are some of the issues.
Indeed.
But
Okay.
the problem of security is a long-term problem, long-issue
Yeah.
program, and we have seen that this government is more serious of stopping this very problem, and they are taking so many measures that we pray to Almighty Allah to grant them the chance to see that we are secure in this country.
Okay, at the very beginning, you had commended the president and all the high-ranking officials for their involvement and engagement and indeed support of the recovery effort. The president, he had ordered the Minister of State for, for Defense, to relocate to Kebbi. That shows how the president was feeling about it. What was the effect, if any, that you could see of the president ordering the Minister of State to be in Kebbi there?
Yes, that is to show you that the president knows the problem of the grassroots. And that is to show you that the president is a listening president, and he has his people at heart, no matter their own level. He is not only after protecting the people in Abuja or in the cities, but yet he is more concerned also with the people at the grassroots level. So this is the clear indication that now, as I told you earlier, we have the president and we have the governor who feels as what we feel, who are always associate themselves with us. So that is why we are very happy that he take a drastic action of even dispatching the whole minister of defense to Kebbi to see that the operation will not have any hitch-free. Even with this order, the minister is there, the commandant, Operation Fansanyama, is also there. We have to thank him for his effort. So all the commanders are there on ground, the minister is there on the ground, so we don't need to say we have to go back to Abuja for something or whatever, or wait for order or whatever. Everybody is on ground. And it has yielded a very good positive result, which is the best in the history of Nigeria.
Indeed.
So we are very grateful to Mr. President.
We've run out of time, but thank you very much, Alhaji Usman Mohammed Anache, for coming on our program. But as the president had alerted and warned, there is a lot more work to be done. Thinking, no doubt, about the Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku, Ekiti of Kwara State. That is a case there. We haven't seen any of those 38 yet. And also, as you were speaking about St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, Agbara local government areas, the president has alerted that he's not resting until all of our girls and all of the other adopted people are back. Thank you very much, Alhaji Anache, for coming on our program. Alhaji Anache is National Chairman, Grassroots Advocacy for Peace and Good Governance. Thank you very much. Okay, so